that the state house in Nigeria has actually cut themselves off from to boost and to power the state house for the country. But it's not only the state house that needs to be powered, the entire country needs to be powered so that we can be able to achieve what we need to achieve in our economic projection for the country. But aside all of the good things that we want to achieve in terms of economic development, this submission has also made us to understand that there are also environmental benefits, there are health benefits to transitioning into cleaner energy. We talked about health just now. When we some parts of Nigeria, in the Niger Delta, where there's oil spillage, there are a lot of health hazards that women have to face at the end of the day, causing cancers, causing a lot of issues. So when we do away with all of that, we're actually building a society that is healthy at the end of the day. So otherwise, we have an approach, according to this submission, that would lead us into the right path for energy consumption and energy production in the country. But where we must understand that we need to balance it up is, what do we have right now? Where do we want to be? How can we bridge the gap for the foreseeable future? And how can we ensure that our transition into renewable energy, into cleaner energy, into alternative source of cleaner energy that is more climate responsive is not actually harming the industries that we have in the country? We need to look at the issue of affordability. We need to look at the issue of accessibility as well when it comes to alternative energy solution. But I believe that this is a wake-up call for the government. If they can do that and achieve that for themselves at the State House, where they have an alternative source of energy for themselves, it's going to be important and necessary as well that they do so for the country. Because at the end of the day, there's a projection that has been made. Time and again, we've said that Nigeria has said we want to build a vision 2030, vision 2040, vision 2050, but we haven't done so much to achieve that. So now is the time where we need to put hands on deck to see what we can do. And I think the collaboration alone shouldn't, the work alone shouldn't be for the federal government to do. It should be a collaboration between public institutions, private sector, investors, state government, and also research institutions. Because how can we make sure that we're building and localizing the talents, localizing our production capacity in the country rather than relying on importation? And the only way we can do that is through research and technology and building that industry within our own country. How can we ensure that our institutes of research, institutes of technologies in Nigeria are actually responsive or producing what we need, and industries as well are also meeting those demands by looking at what has been produced, or even technology transfer or collaboration with advanced nations that have been able to be successful in that area. So I think those are the areas that we need to look into to achieve this.
Very well said, Wale, because I don't want to sugarcoat it. It is very obvious that energy is killing profitability in Nigeria, especially for manufacturers. And, you know, many factories in Nigeria spend up to 30 to 40% of their operating cost on energy. I mean, we cannot lie that most of us, diesel generators are not a backup anymore. They are the main source of power generation in Nigeria. They are the primary source, and diesel prices have not been friendly in recent years. So when we hear about energy efficiency, when we hear about cleaner production methods, this is not just about environmental talk alone. It is an environmental talk, but it's not just an environmental talk alone. We are talking about rethinking our strategy for survival now, rethinking our means for survival now. When the global environment facility, when a global environment facility like UNIDO project comes out and, you know, discuss about something that is very important, because this thing is very important because it links two issues, and you've rightfully mentioned them, which is industrial growth and, of course, environmental responsibility. Because in reality, all of these things are connected when you look at them. If a factory wastes energy, if a factory wastes energy, it is wasting money. And if it wastes more raw materials, then it reduces that competitiveness for that industry. So I think they are right to come out to say, I think, is it Dr. What's the doctor's name here? Oluwasegun. I think his comment or her comment, I think it should be his comment reflects something very deep. The Nigerian manufacturers are under pressure from imported goods, exchange, what do they call them? Exchange rate volatility and all of those rising logistics costs altogether. If they do not stand up, re-strategize and think of modernizing production processes, then they will continue to struggle against cheaper import from Asia that will not stand the test of time. So I think cleaner production here doesn't just mean shutting down their factories, because it may be translated to, where do you want us, to go? Just like when NAFTA came out and banned sachet alcohol, and a lot of people came out and say, where do you want us to go? That is the time for you to rethink strategy, safer, products. Think of putting safer products out there. If this is causing harm to the environment and to people's health, then you must think of another way if you think it is necessary for livelihoods and whatnot. So I think this call is it's a means of calling manufacturers to use smarter systems. For example, more like recovering heat from industrial processes instead of letting it escape. So you think of another means, think of better products, think of, better channels and whatnot. Because if we're using energy efficient motors, this is the time to start thinking about them. Using energy efficient equipment in your industries, this is the time to think about them. Reducing water wastage, this is the time to think about them, because when you talk about environmental sustainability and all of this waste and whatnot, their minds quickly run to just pollution, plastics and whatnot. But this is another aspect we don't really talk about often. Think of how you can conserve water. Think of how industries should begin to think of how they can conserve energy in different forms. And when we talk of energy, we're not just talking about power supply and whatnot. Think of how to conserve energy in different forms and through different means. I think these are all practical measures that can reduce cost over time. If not, if you spend more on energy, you continue to waste more money and you will not get profit back. So I just feel like all of this workshop sensitization that they are talking about is very important, but implementation is the hard part, because when we even want to go back and look at it, these manufacturers cannot, especially small and medium scale manufacturers, they cannot just stand up, if you agree with me, and say, we want to just go and enter all of these things. They do not like the ideas. I always say it, we do not like the ideas, we do not like the potential in Nigeria. What we lack is the investment. What we lack is the capital. So government should, if they are coming out to put out some of this warning, in partnership with all of them, like UNIDO and all of this, think of how they can invest in new technologies for manufacturers. Think of how they can invest in training for manufacturers. So all of these financing models too should be attached to it. Think of new ways, for them. Low interest loans for them, tax incentives for them, all of these import and export costs should be reduced, quick grants for them so that they can be able to purchase, because we see some of, I think I talked to an architect one time, he produces blocks, locally made blocks, Nigerian made fabricated blocks. He fabricates poles and a whole lot of things, building materials and whatnot, even cars. But one of his greatest challenge is that there is no enough fund in that industry, no money to buy this equipment. You still have to go to China and import this equipment. And where is the money? So I think they should invest in new technologies for these manufacturers, so they can be able to adopt, even if it's slowly, it's still growth.
Indeed, even if it's slow, we're still recording growth. Moving on to our last story for the headlines this morning. A Nigerian woman in Al-Nada area of Sharjah has gone viral after filming herself praying during missile explosions linked to Iran's retaliation against United States strikes. The incident happened on February 28, 2026, as blasts were felt across Dubai and Abu Dhabi, with authorities confirming one fatality. In the video, she reportedly says, "The gods of my father should protect us," while urging fellow Nigerians not to board evacuation flights reportedly being arranged. She insists that despite